What's up, everybody, and welcome to ITG Daily, the show that brings you the hottest in gaming news. I'm Drew Bosa. You can find me on Twitter at ArtisticGamer28, and that's the one, the only Scott Savage. You can find him on Twitter at Savage. Scott, happy Friday!
Yeah, Friday already, man. I think I saw your Twitter post, and like, how do you wake up and the whole week's gone?
It's just, dude, it's just a blur. I got up this morning and went, holy crap. It's Friday already, just like that, dude. It's over. It's been a big week. It's been an exciting week, and there's always something to talk about, and that's no different than today's show, where you should be joining us live, just like Agent Howell is, over on twitch.tv/theofficial ITG or YouTube. If you can't join us live, then you should be hitting us up later at InsideTheGame.ca, podcast services and TV streaming networks around the globe. Scott, you ready for today's show? Because today we're talking about the EA Play Live recap, starting with Battlefield Portal. Grid is back, a return of a horror fan favorite game, and a new title was showcased at the event as well. Dude, there's lots to talk about, so why don't we get rolling? And honestly, I kind of thought I'd throw this one to you. You're the Battlefield guru within ITG, so why don't you take it away?
Well, there was a nice presentation, a little bit more information we got on 2042.
Yeah.
Everybody's excited about it, of course, but there has been a new mode effectively coming out with the launch of the game. Something they haven't done before, and it's kind of interesting. It's got me excited, and that would be Battlefield Portal.
Yeah.
Now,
it's kind of a big deal, isn't it?
It is, actually, but before I explain too hard, let's get into the kind of recap that we've seen posted. And this is a product of this is a product of DICE LA,
yeah.
And this is something they have previously teased, the concept of bringing back old classic Battlefield maps, a lot of favorites from the other games. Well, it seems that it's actually going to be a lot more than just the maps that'll be accessible and crossing over. Now, this is coming from what we've seen. This is a combination of things. It's the ability to bring new maps and older maps and older factions, older weapons into 2042, even though it's quite in the future.
Mm-hmm.
And there's also the ability to create your own rules surrounding the game. So there's one thing teased that was kind of one versus many. You're allowed to play with the movement speed, the weapons on the field, what you start with. There's a lot of interesting stuff there. And there's also going to be a venue where you can share your game mode and also browse through other players' creations. The only thing that seems to be lacking is the ability to edit the map itself.
Yeah.
But that's quite advanced. And this actually does give you a lot of the tools that the developers have used before. So if we got into map editing, I think that'd be a little too deep.
Yeah, for sure. No, this gives everybody the ability to jump in. I know Kyle, our good friend Kyle, is absolutely excited and pumped for this. He's been waiting for Battlefield to come back for a long time, Scott. And they stated yesterday that no, you cannot edit the map, but you can literally do everything else within a game to create your own game mode. It's kind of that they had a movement, like I want to say on PS3, where it was this play, create, share kind of thing with Little Big played it. And this kind of gives me that feeling again, though. You know what I mean?
I'm wondering if it's going to be as popular.
Yeah.
There's of course there's going to be some people that are much more creative than I that will jump into it headlong and hopefully produce some very interesting things. But I wonder if the general player is going to be curious enough to jump into it. But there was a lot of things that were also teased to make up the content of what are you bringing into 2042. Well, it goes all the way back to Battlefield 1942. They've brought back a lot of these levels. So this is kind of the building block of creating your own experience. There's a few of them that they named Battle of the Bulge, El Alamein, from Battlefield Bad Company 2. This is something we haven't heard from in a long time.
Yeah.
There's Arica Harbor and Valparaiso. From Battlefield 3, there's Caspian Border and Nashar Canals. Now, Caspian Border was the map, so that's exciting for me. But these have all been tweaked to have new, updated graphics. They're not going to look like last gen sort of thing. And they've all... I believe they are shown to be up to 4K 60 frames a second as well. So it's not going to mismatch with the content native to 2042. It's going to fit in quite well with that. And this is interesting because they have to tweak these levels in some capacity to make the new modern gap. There
For
was
sure.
never 128 players on the map. There's never been that many, so they've had to tweak some of the sizing and make that work. And I'm still just thinking about that. 128 players on any Battlefield map, no matter how large you make it, is just insane to me. It's what a time to be alive.
Scott, are you excited for this game mode and what other people are going to bring? As you said, you're not probably going to really touch it all that much. You might jump in and kind of experiment, but will you try it to the extent and stick around, or will you wait for others to create levels and then jump in?
I'm going to be the consumer on that one instead of a creator. I may mess around with it just to try and come up with, if I come up with an interesting idea or something I used to do in Halo Forge, but try it on this. I'm definitely curious to see what kind of things people create, but I'm most likely just going to skim the top of the list. And there's a lot of really interesting ideas that we saw kind of teased. Yep. World War II. What if we bring World War II Germany versus 2042 modern characters and that kind of fun mashup? I think is something that I'm going to be interested in.
No, for sure. I'm gonna jump in and dabble around, but Battlefield's never really kind of connected with me all that much. So I'm curious to see if this is the one that's gonna draw me in and stick around with. But that whole play, create, kind of share content is always interesting to take a look at how developers take that approach and want to build upon their community and grow that. Because there are some people, dude, that'll just spend hours upon hours creating this content, and then everybody else is there and free to enjoy it, which is always exciting to see. But then how do you cycle through some of the garbage that comes in there? Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's got to be some kind of way to mediate what is good over what is, you know, like a time waster in a sense, you know?
Yeah, I suspect they'll have some sort of a feedback loop when you're
thumbs
done.
Up, thumbs down.
You can rate on it. Yeah, even if it's just as simple as thumbs up, thumbs down, that would still satisfy that need. Because I agree, you can't. What if I feel like it's going to be a very large pool? Just day 2, we'll see hundreds of things created. So how do you navigate that? They have to come up with some sort of system.
Yeah, I'm sure. And it's not too far away, right? Coming this holiday season, so everybody's going to be jumping in on it, and it's going to be a big game this year. Like I said, my buddy Kyle there, he's all over it. But let's get into some other stuff, because that wasn't the only thing at the show, as Codemasters has announced Grid Legends is coming to current and new-gen consoles as well as PC. Grid Legends was announced during the EA Play Live 2021 yesterday and slated for a release sometime next year in 2022. Featuring this series' renowned racing handling, the game will have you racing around traditional tracks and city circuits. The biggest thing here, Scott, is what their focus is that they're introducing a story mode as well, which seemed almost like, okay, so they had real life actors with some technology behind them that wasn't a green screen, but an actual living, like, breathing screen that they were in front of. It was just like a big TV monitor, which I thought was a really neat aspect of how they took this approach, so that the actors, exactly, like well, when we started this show years ago at this point now, Scott, we did it everything in front of a green screen. Now this is a live screen where they can see what was right behind them, instead of having this blank screen and you're kind of trying to depict what you think would be there. You can now actually interact with what was on screen, so you have a better feeling of your surroundings.
It's like the technological jump between the prequel Star Wars movies, where they were acting, but they were speaking to an X on the wall. Yeah, you know, using a heavy imagination to make those scenes work, and I think they did a good job for the most part. But there's that compared to The Mandalorian, where they use the same
technology.
They actually load up things in Unreal Engine to match the background and kind of create it that way and film it with a traditional camera. That's super interesting to see that used in another fashion for video game cutscenes. It almost feels like it should have happened for video game cutscenes first, but in any case, it's a whole lot of technology makes these characters look amazing.
Yeah, no. So that's why I said, like, they're real life actors acting out this scene with all this technology, the big giant screen behind them. So it was super cool to see a little bit behind the scenes and how they're creating this world. And I'm not the biggest racing fan when it comes to like the sim side of things, and Grid seems to be pretty technical. So I know Hell Monkey, I'm sure, is going to be all over this game from our community over Discord, which everybody should be joining. But they also took this to say a couple things where Grid Legends combines everything our players love and adds more exhilarating race features, including our new epic story mode, said Chris Smith, the game director over at Codemasters. We're giving players more variety and choice, whether that's creating their ultimate races using our race creator or bringing back the community requested drift mode. Lots on the horizon, Scott. Grid Legends is coming to PC, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X and S in 2022. No actual release date given, though.
Yeah, it's there was a bit of a early show, it seems, in the presentation we saw yesterday. A lot of things are quite in the distance, and which we've talked about the pros and cons to announcing things early.
For sure.
But the things that we saw seem to be beyond concept. So they're quite under development. I think it's pretty safe to say we will see these things in 22.
Yeah.
But it just is that going to be holiday 2022?
Yeah, for sure. And we also got a new look at the latest Apex Legend character. Seer is on his way as well, and they're bringing ranked to the arena mode. Scott, we got a quick glimpse into Seer's movements as well as his abilities. He offers some kind of tracking system which looked pretty cool. I know my girlfriend was like, ooh, I might have to kind of jump back into Apex and check this out. So that's coming on August 3rd if you're looking to be in the world of Apex. And the ranked arenas is something I know the community's been looking for a while as well.
Oh yes. Chelsea, that's Lithrin on Twitch, but she plays this game a lot, gets into the arenas, and her biggest issue with the game is finding teammates that are close to her skill, even slightly close to her skill. She carries very hard, but this rank system in arenas is hopefully going to work out well. There's always been kind of some hiccups with skill-based matchmaking. Not sure why or what's up with that, but there's a lot of feedback directed at Respawn. So I hope that they can figure that out correctly for this, but time will tell. August 5th, it's not far away.
No, it's not. It's really just around the corner. And I think one of the biggest announcements coming out of yesterday's event, Scott, was the fact that Dead Space is a remake that was announced yesterday by EA Motive. After weeks of rumors about potential revival of the Dead Space series, we finally learned of what's next for the survival horror franchise. And it is indeed a full remake of the original announced at yesterday's event. And it's only going to be on PC, PS5, and the Xbox Series X and S. Dude, the game has been dormant for I shouldn't say dormant, but the original launched 12 years ago. So it's been a while, right?
It's been enough time to expect a remaster, but this, the wordage, the remake, sounds significantly better than a remaster. And if they're only focused on the new consoles and PC, that tells me that there's going to be a very large jump.
Absolutely. Now, this one obviously is clearly not for me, Scott, but I know a lot of people are excited for Dead Space, and they've been wanting this one back because, from what I understand, Dead Space 2 and 3 kind of took a different turn. 2 not so much, but 3 took a real big turn from the original, the way the series started. So to go back,
multiplayer in that game was strange, and they kind of got too far off of their original mark.
Yeah. So we'll see. It's coming back. I'm glad to see it's an actual remake and not a remaster a la Mass Effect. So, I get why they did it with Mass Effect. There's 3 games there, so how much time you really want to spend building from the ground up, but it's a complete remake on next-gen consoles and PC. So you're going to have the power behind that to rebuild what they've built in the past, right? The Dead Space franchise made a huge impact on the survival or horror genre when it released 12 years ago, and I came to Motive as a fan first to specifically work on the game. He said, "We have a passionate team at Motive who are approaching this remake as a love letter to the franchise, going back to the original and having the opportunity to do so on next-gen consoles excited everyone on the team. As we look to modernize the game, we've reached out to dedicated fans and invited them to provide us with feedback since the early stages of production to deliver the Dead Space game they want for new players to enjoy as well." And a side note, Scott, from what I saw this morning on Twitter and other outlets, there will be no microtransactions in this game at all. It's funny how a game coming from EA needs to clarify that there are no microtransactions coming to the game.
But you can only get the game via loot box now. It seems like they've cut that out.
Yeah, no, they certainly have. Yeah. So
no, that's really cool. I'm excited for this one specifically. This was the first game that I ever actually had a headset on for. I bought Turtle Beaches and I put them on and dude, this game, let me just warn you, this game is not gonna be good if you play it, because there's just the sounds you can hear, people in the walls, like on the other sides of walls, in their rooms locked up. There's a lot of sobbing, a lot of creepy kind of crawly noises and stuff. And I'm imagining that with the power of PS5.
Yeah.
And specifically, I believe they have a dedicated sound system that's unique. And I think that'll work out really well. And also the force feedback controller.
Oh, dude.
My imagination is wilding. I can't think of what this game is going to be a hit.
I think so.
It was the first time around.
Yeah, for sure. There's going to be a lot of people that are pretty excited. And I think you made a good point, Scott, too, about the PS5, right? With the haptic feedback from the controller is really going to change and elevate the gameplay and the overall experience of the game.
Oh, yeah. It had always had that ambient creep to me, but that's what got me into the game. I loved it.
Yeah, no, for sure. They also announced two other things too. EA Play also had showcased Lost at Random, which is a unique kind of like Tim Burton-esque approach to art style with this dice-like mechanic, Scott. So you have this dice buddy, and you're playing as two characters, Odd and Even, and Odd, I believe, is the one that was taken by the witch, and Even is out to go save her. And then you get this dice companion. Dude, it looks quirky. It looks cool. I had my interest right from the get-go when it started.
Well, we mentioned Portal already, so this dice kind of reminds me of a companion cube.
Yeah.
I suppose it is technically a companion cube. Yeah. But it was interesting to see because they're blending real-time attacks, real-time fighting with the cube, or the dice rather, that uses turn-based to activate. So there's an interesting blend going on here, and I think that's going to attract a lot of players of JRPGs and the Western audience as well. I think it looks really good, and as soon as I saw the art style, I thought this might be one that sticks out to Drew.
Yeah, no, absolutely, it sure did. And then they announced also Knockout City Season 2 Fight at the Movies. And then, Scott, one thing that just kind of struck me weird was the fact that we covered it earlier in the week that they announced Skate 4, right?
Mm-hmm.
They announced Skate 4 here. Like, why didn't they bring it here? To me, that's the bit. Why would, dude, your conference is just days away. Why would you announce that early and not bring it to the table over here?
Yeah, the only thing I could think of is maybe the development team kind of went rogue on that, or maybe they had some information that it was not going to be used on the presentation. Somebody made that decision early, because as there was some hits in this presentation. I don't believe it was a bad one or that it was lacking,
right? But
Skate would have been a very strong contender for top video, I believe, in
absolutely
presentation. A lot of people are clamoring for that, perhaps more than Dead Space, really.
Right, because that's, I don't know, maybe not, maybe that one's a tricky one, Scott, to be honest, but it just seems like such an odd thing to do. With your conference was just yesterday, you announced it, I believe, like on Monday, not too long ago, just a couple days ago, the fact that Skate 4 is in development. You got an early look into the game. I get the whole presentation aspect for the EA Play Live was with Austin Creed and his whole situation on screen and on a stage, then talking to developers real quickly, which I thought it had a good pacing throughout the show. It just, man, you would have you would have elevated that little surprise factor, I think, if you were able to hold on a little bit longer to Skate 4 for that showcase. Dude, like, it would have made a lot more sense to showcase it there than just kind of put it out into the ether and send it all to the press like they normally do. To me, this is their big E3 event. So bring out all the stops. And to me, that was a missed opportunity because they showed one of the biggest titles that fans have been clamoring for since the PS3 and Xbox 360 days, that they're now actually working on it. And it would have made a lot more sense for me, at least from my perspective, to bring it to this event. This is your now E3 showcase in a month later, I guess. But either way, you know, this is what we have lined up and this is what's coming. Dude, you dropped that Skate 4 trailer in there and people are losing their mind.
Yeah, I think maybe there wasn't much to show, but they really could have just shown Skate 3 footage and everybody would have lost their mind.
Yeah, probably, right? Like, it's just, man, it's so weird to me, though, that they did that. I don't know. But Scott, you know what? Something else is coming in the pipeline. That was it for E3. Final thoughts on E3 from, I guess, E3 from EA. Good conference, bad conference.
I think it was a good conference overall. I agree with you on the pacing. We saw several E3 presentations that just did not have
the pacing,
the right pacing, or they lacked a senior editor on that one. I think on a few, but this measures up. I think this is accurate to say this was their E3 presentation of sorts, and some heavy hitters on there. Returns from the past. Grid looks amazing, and Battlefield, of course, is the big one in the horizon. So it's hard for them to really fumble the ball with this one.
Yeah, no, I think the overall presentation from EA for the EA Play Live for 2021 was good. I thought it was a solid showcase. I didn't feel like I was bored just kind of sitting around. Like, we didn't see anything out of like Madden, all that, like nothing like sports that kind of sometimes for those who aren't, you know, involved in their sports scene with FIFA and Madden, that kind of sometimes will drag out a conference for some people. And for me, it was just like boom, boom, boom. And it just kept going. And it was about half hour, 40 minutes long. And I thought it was just well done, well put together. And I thought they did a great job keeping everybody, you know, excited for what was coming next. And I think Austin's energy on stage kind of helped elevate that whole situation as well, right? It wasn't just here's the next game. It was Austin getting kind of pumped up and excited, and then a couple grills of the questions with the developers and things like that. I thought it was really well done, and the energy level was there. I enjoyed it overall, so I'm glad that they did it. But I wish they would have done it with E3 with everything else, man. Instead, we're a month out, and man, you just add in Skate 4, and it just would have changed everything, I think, too.
Yeah. Oh, well, this gives them an opportunity to stand out from the rest, I guess. Instead of being lost in the blur of E3, they did their own thing just shortly after.
Nah, I guess so, right? So, either way. Scott, there's not too much out today, but why don't you hit us up? What new games are coming out for today?
Yeah, we have seemingly only 2 releases today. It's been a very light week, which is just it's strange to me in contrast with the several weeks prior. But there is a title by the name Blue Fire coming out on the PlayStation 4 today.
Dude, this game looks cool. This game, have you seen this game at all?
No, I haven't actually. I'm curious.
This is one I definitely want to check out. It's got an art style that I think really speaks to me and Corey.
Oh, I'm seeing the gameplay footage of it.
It looks cool, doesn't it? Dude, I'm pumped. I gotta try this game.
Looks like a more mature Dauntless, but
yeah,
that's cool. I like that. There's another release though, and that is Orcs Must Die 3. And that's coming to the Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and the Xbox Series S and X, and the PC. One notable miss there, no PlayStation 5 seemingly.
Weird. I wonder if they just missed that. But what we didn't miss, Scott, was today's show. Everybody, thank you for hanging out with us. Of course, you can always join us live over on twitch.tv/theofficialitg. We're there. We're covering all the hottest news from the industry. I'm Drew. That's Scott. Everybody have a great weekend, and we'll see you inside the game.